Habit 6, synergize, in a sense, is the fruit of the spirit of win-win. Habit 4, the spirit of seeking first to understand, then to be understood. Habit 5. Then what happens is a very powerful thing. When people begin to interact together genuinely and they're open to each other's influence, they begin to get new insight. Something happens to them both. It creates the possibility of third alternatives, not the either-or approach, not win-lose, lose-win, not compromise. Compromise is 1 + 1 = 1.5. Positive synergy is 1 + 1 = 3. Negative synergy, 1 + 1 = 1/2. In other words, so much of the effort and energy is spent in the adversarialism, in conflict and defensive and protective communication, that literally it just wastes the energy of the enterprise, of the marriage, of the family. Anyone who has experienced sustained conflict and contention, they know that very little productivity can come out. So just remember those definitions. Synergy is where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Synergy means you can literally produce something that neither of you could have produced before, and even adding what each can produce separately, 1 + 1 = 2, is not synergy. Negative synergy, where there is internal contention and adversarialism, produces less than even what one person can usually produce on their own, because so much of the energy is wasted going in the wrong direction and is counterproductive. Now, the traditional paradigm is one of compromise. That's literally where most people think we end up realistically, and it often is the case if you're in low-trust cultures. But compromise isn't necessary if people will pay the price with habits 4, 5, and 6. The key to habit 6, synergize, in fact, you could almost say the fundamental principle of 6 is to always value differences. It's not something you just accept that there are differences. It's not something that you tolerate. It's not something that is legislated through diversity programs. It is something that you celebrate. I mean, genuinely, the strength lies in differences, not in similarities. However, if there is not a common purpose and a common set of principles, a buy-in to these universal principles we've been talking about, diversity, differences, can result in chaos and negative synergy. And it spawns prejudice, prejudgment. And remember, prejudice is a protection against being vulnerable. If I get my security from my ability to manipulate people as things, and I can classify them, it protects me, see? I don't have to deal with people. I just deal with categories, and I have them labeled, and then I get into the self-fulfilling prophecy, and it is a seedbed to all kinds of other problems. That's why it requires this integrity of the first 3 habits. It requires the development of a common purpose, a common sense of meaning, a common sense of mission. What is it we're about? The moment you can achieve that, then run with differences in perceptions, in gifts, in talents. The more you have difference, the better. The capability of inventing new approaches, third alternatives, is increased exponentially because of differences. Strength literally lies in difference. These aren't just nice words to value differences. These are moral imperatives for those that really want to solve problems in entirely new ways. Go for synergy. So the moment someone disagrees with you, what do you say to them? Good. You see it differently. That's why I so value my wife's input, because I'll say, well, how do you see it? And she'll see it totally differently. But honestly, if you can learn to value differences and teach your children, the moment there's a difference, run with it. It's an advantage, not a disadvantage.